Josh, the president has a really big immigration speech tonight. And normally when the president wants to make a primetime address, the White House will reach out, put out some feelers to the networks, see if they'll be interested in running it before they actually do the formal request. They did it this time, and the networks said no. And actually, so Obama will only be speaking live on the cable networks, on PBS, and interestingly enough, on Univision. They're actually going to delay the Latin Grammys telecast for the speech, which makes sense because it is a speech about immigration. And the networks have come out and said, actually to our own Mike Allen, at least a network source did, that it's because they thought that maybe this was a little bit too political. But you say that's kind of bull, right?
Yeah, I don't really understand. Number one, I don't know how you decide what a president does that's political and what isn't. Like, everything a president does or says is political. It seems to me you have to judge it by, like, whether it's a news event. I mean, the networks still, I think the broadcast networks cover the State of the Union address like it's something newsworthy, when in fact there's no news whatsoever in it. You know, it's like what kind of hat the First Lady is wearing is probably the only part of it that's usually very newsworthy. And this is going to affect millions of people. So whether people agree with it or not, I just don't understand that standard. And they're saying, like, because Bush gave a speech in 2006 that was more bipartisan, that's why they covered it back then. I just think they have some business agenda in not covering it, which is fine, but just say that's the reason and don't make another one.
They are, I mean, the networks are in the middle of the November sweeps right now, which helps determine what kind of advertising they're going to get, which is very important for them. In September, when Obama made a speech, a 9 p.m. speech, they did air it live. So I think it was just kind of timing, and I'm sure that there is a reasoning specifically wanting to do it the same night as the Latin Grammys. At least you're going to have a lot of people who are going to be tuning in to watch the Latin Grammys, who a lot of these people are the ones that are going to be directly affected by this, are the ones who will be watching the speech, which is an important aspect of it. But it is quite a bit of a snub. You know, we're in the last 2 years of the Obama presidency, lame duck presidency. Do you think that has anything to do with it? He's just on his way out?
Oh yeah, I mean, the way the networks look at these things, there's no question that they weigh all those factors into it, and the fact that the president's, you know, seen to be in decline of his power or something along those lines. I think a speech like this, if he had given it, say, in the first 6 months of his presidency, there's no question that they would have covered it. So, you know, you hear different schools of thought too from the White House about how they feel about this decision. They've said on background to people, well, we're mad that the networks won't air this, but then I've seen other news accounts saying that they're secretly happy because it'll still make it through to the Latino viewers that are most interested, but it won't reach the other audience. I have to say, I think it's probably the case that they are kind of mad the networks aren't airing it. The biggest danger President Obama faces at this moment is not to be noticed. Like, whether people agree or disagree with his policies, I think, is secondary. The danger for a lame duck president is that people don't think you're doing things or don't think you're an important player on the scene. If you can't even get on TV, that does send a message in that direction that I don't think the White House likes very much.
Right, but at the same time, this when they're comparing it to 2006, we're in a totally different media landscape than we were in 2006. I mean, now, a few days ago when they made the announcement, they did it on Facebook, they did a special video, they linked to a live stream. In 2006, we would have never seen anything like that. I don't even think you were able to watch a live stream on a mobile phone back then. And so I think that the comparison is a little bit different here. Definitely, it's kind of embarrassing, you know, to not be able to get the primetime networks to give you 10 minutes of time to do this. But you know what? I'm sure for them, the Big Bang Theory and, you know, Grey's Anatomy make them a lot more money and a lot more viewers than if the president speaks. And, you know, once one kind of gives out the feelers that they're not going to do it, the rest kind of fall in line. They always kind of act in a group.
Yeah, it doesn't really make me angry that they're not doing it. I'm not going to get up on my high horse and say that they definitely should. I mean, if people want to see the speech, it's not like it's going to be that hard for them to find it. I'm sure they can find like a Spanish language network like you're talking about, or PBS, or the internet. And the other part is they can find it on the White House website. I do think that it is a little hard when we hear people in the networks and at the network news divisions complain about how the president is using social media to go around them on all these kinds of things. If they're not going to carry what the president is actually doing, then why shouldn't he go around them to the social media? So it does seem to me that, like, both sides here are sort of headed to the same place, which is the White House is perfectly happy to make an end run around the media and the networks are perfectly happy not to have him and instead to have their advertising money.
On that note, you can actually watch it at Politico's homepage. Politico.com will have the live stream from the beginning to the very end.